Hello, my name's Fiona Charles, and I want to tell you a little story about a problem. A week ago, someone was supposed to come with a large piece of equipment and dig a hole in my back garden right outside that door. It was going to be a hole for a foundation for a new extension. It still is when it happens. But it couldn't happen a week ago. Our builder had built the schedule based on the premise that you can always dig a hole in southern Ontario if the ground is frozen, so long as most of the snow cover is gone. Turned out that wasn't quite correct. He failed to take an important element of the context into account when he made that decision. It turns out that yes, you can dig a hole in frozen ground, but you can only do it with large equipment. You can't get a large piece of equipment into this back garden because it's a small urban garden. So in fact, the small digger that we can get in here can't dig in frozen ground, and we have to wait. So, schedule slipped. Well, that's not something that's terribly unusual in our lives, particularly not in our work lives. We can live with it. The point of this story is that the premise on which the builder made the decision for the schedule was one that didn't really work out. And it didn't work out because it wasn't a rule. It was, if anything, a rule of thumb. Sometimes you can dig holes in frozen ground in southeastern Ontario, but only if you have the right conditions. So in fact, rather than being a rule, that was a heuristic. We use heuristics all the time in solving problems or in making decisions. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. That's the point of a heuristic. It's a fallible method for solving a problem, meaning that it works sometimes and it doesn't work other times. Sometimes people find the idea of heuristics in testing a bit scary. It seems esoteric, it seems arcane, but in fact it's not, as I hope this little story illustrated. It's a practical way of solving a problem. You can invent your own heuristics, and most of us do, but sometimes they're unconscious. And when we use heuristics, when we use hidden rules unconsciously, that can be very dangerous because then we're making unconscious assumptions, and that can lead us into making mistakes without realizing it. In my tutorial at Belgium Testing Days on May 18th, we're going to be exploring the whole idea of test heuristics, how to use them in solving problems, how to use them in testing. I hope you'll join me. It's going to be lots of fun.